Welcome back, everyone. We're taking a deep dive today into some beautiful devotional poetry. It centers on this really powerful idea, the Arutperunjothi.
The Great Light of Grace.
Yeah, exactly. And you see it again and again throughout this poem, often linked to Lord Shiane.
Yeah.
But instead of just going line by line, we really want to explore the themes and the symbols. What are the most interesting parts here? What's going to get people thinking?
Well, one thing that always strikes me about this poem is it's not just, praising this idea. It's like it's giving us a guidebook almost. Like how to actually experience this Arutprunjothy ourselves.
Oh, that's a cool way to look at it. Like, how do we actually tap into that grace?
Well, exactly.
That's what we're going to try to unpack. And one of the things I noticed right off the bat is how the poet keeps talking about transcending these limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And not just physical limitations, the boundaries set by, scriptures, even the material world itself.
Yeah.
The entire universe.
And by connecting that idea of transcendence to Arutperunjothi, the poem's hinting at something I think really profound. That maybe this grace is what allows us to break free from those limitations in the first place.
Oh, okay. I like that. So if we think about it, what are some of the things that really hold us back in life? Could it be our own doubts, pressures from society?
Yeah.
Always wanting more stuff? Are those the forests and universes we need to move beyond?
I think it's a great question to consider. And the poem uses this vivid imagery, right? It's not just abstract concepts to help us really grasp that the journey to this Arutperunjothi, it's not necessarily about, physical distance. It's about an internal shift, a change in how we see things.
So let's talk about that internal shift then. The poem also mentions Arutperunjothi residing in both the material world, so what we see and touch and experience every day,
Right.
but also in the transcendental realm, something beyond our normal understanding. It's like a paradox. This divine light is both woven into the everyday fabric of our lives and something that exists beyond it at the same time.
It reflects, this core idea in Hindu philosophy, the all-encompassing nature of Shiva, that divine presence is not out there somewhere. It permeates everything. So grace, then, it's not something we earn or achieve. It's something we become aware of.
Okay, but how? How do we become aware of it? There's that one line that really got me. It says, Arutperunjothi actually resides within our own hearts and minds. I mean, that's powerful, right? We don't have to search outside ourselves. The key is turning inward.
And that idea resonates across, so many different spiritual traditions. This concept that divinity is found within us, it points to maybe a universal truth. That deep connection to something greater can be accessed through introspection, through looking within.
So if this Arutperunjothi is already there within us, just waiting to be uncovered, then what does that mean for how we actually live our lives?
Right.
I mean, does it change the way we face challenges? Does it change how we see the world?
That's where it gets really interesting, because the poem doesn't give us, a step-by-step guide. It sparks a process of exploration.
Right.
What if, instead of feeling limited by our struggles and difficulties, we could tap into this inner source of grace? What if that awareness shifted our whole perspective? Everything.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's almost like this poem is challenging us. To reframe all those struggles as opportunities, to connect with this Arutperunjothi.
And the final stanza, it gives us some clues, I think, about what that connection might look like. It talks about Arutperunjothi existing beyond time, beyond space, beyond all these dualities we tend to get caught up in.
Like good and bad, right? Or light and dark.
Exactly, yeah. It's suggesting that this grace, it's not bound by our limited human perception. It goes beyond the categories we use to make sense of the world.
So it's hinting at this state of unity, wholeness, where those opposites, the things we struggle with, kind of dissolve into something much, much bigger.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Think about how often we, get stuck in those dualities. We label things good or bad. We judge ourselves. We judge others. And this poem is inviting us to step outside of that framework, consider a perspective where those divisions just fall away.
And maybe that's a glimpse into what liberation truly feels like. That freedom from, constantly categorizing and judging everything.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a radical shift in how we see things. And the poem reinforces this idea with that final image, Arutperunjothi, blazing like a fire, dispelling all the darkness.
I love that imagery. Fire's got this transformative power. It purifies, it illuminates. So in this context, it's burning away our limiting beliefs, those obstacles, mental and emotional, that are keeping us from that wholeness.
it's not just about arriving somewhere, right? It's about the transformation itself. It's saying that Arutperunjothi isn't some static thing. It's this dynamic force that's constantly refining us, illuminating, helping us to understand more.
Okay, so bringing it back to the listener for a second. How can someone actually apply this idea of Arutperunjothi as this transformative force, like in their own life?
I think it's an invitation to be more aware, to approach our challenges with that inner fire, that grace. What if instead of reacting the same old way, we paused just for a moment and considered, how can this Arutperunjothi guide my actions right now? What would it look like to face this situation, with that illuminating presence?
I love that. It's like we're being asked to actually engage with this Arutperunjothi.
Yeah.
Not just wait around for some big enlightenment moment.
Exactly. It's about integrating it, into everything we do, into the very fabric of our lives.
Yeah.
Imagine, approaching your work, your relationships, even the most like everyday things.
Right.
With that understanding that this Arutperunjothi is there. It's illuminating, every action.
So instead of it just being this like separate part of our lives, our spirituality,
right.
It becomes this guiding force that influences everything we do.
And that's where the real transformation, the real magic starts to happen. Think about it. Mm-hmm. How would our interactions change if we recognize that same divine spark within everyone we meet?
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on what makes us different, we start to see that underlying unity.
Right.
That connection that goes beyond all the superficial stuff.
It's a shift. From judgment to compassion, from separation to interconnection, and it's not just about feeling good. It has like real implications.
Right.
Imagine facing a difficult situation, not with fear or doubt, but with this inner reservoir of grace.
Like accessing this inner strength and wisdom that we might not even know we have.
And who knows what ripple effects that could create,
Right.
This poem, it doesn't offer easy answers, but it does open up this world of possibilities. It reminds us that the journey to Arutperunjothi, it's ongoing.
Yeah.
It's a continuous exploration of our own potential.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. I mean, we've gone from like really unpacking the imagery and the words of this poem all the way to exploring like what does it mean for how we live our lives.
It's amazing, isn't it, the power of poetry? How these words, so carefully crafted, can spark such profound insights and really inspire us to look inward in a whole new way.
Absolutely. So to our listeners, as you go about your day, remember what this poem is really saying. It's Arutperunjothi. It's not some distant concept. It's a living reality that's already within you. So let it guide you. Let it illuminate your path. And let it transform the way you experience this world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving.